So we're going to do a quick speed paint demo on these roads so I can show you, obviously you can make your roads nicer if you want, but, uh, I think these are okay looking. Okay. So let's talk about how to do that. I print in black. This is our T intersection. If you do a couple of tips, if you do decide to do adaptive layers, the effects are pretty substantial, even though it basically doubles print time. This piece here has adaptive layers, and I don't know if you can see it on the video, but there is a pretty decent difference in layer ringing between these two items. So, if you really like a primo table, take a look at that adaptive layering. Other thing I'm going to mention is these open lock holes are actually redesigned to be smaller, not just in terms of the width on this side, but also in back, they've been shrunk down. So I would advise avoiding any kind of brim work, even mouse ear brims. I would skip on and just print these things flat on plate and make sure they stick while you're printing them. You don't have to print in black. It's just what I prefer because it saves me a bit on uh, obsessing about the primer job. Okay, so what we're doing on the primer is we are using Rust-Oleum flat black, Rust-Oleum green camo, Rust-Oleum tan camo, khaki. Okay, and we're just doing a quick spray. We're spraying black, and then we're spraying tan down the middle of the roads and green camo on the sides. Okay, and there'll be a video. There should be a video playing underneath me, sort of showing that process as I went through painting some of these. Um, while that video is running, I'm also going to mention that we are going to be releasing 5 sections of bog road. These are plank-based roads that would go over soft wetland. We're going to have 4 wet road sections like this. One tip I will mention, this is traditional resin poured. Do not use UV. The roads are too thin and the UV heat will warp your roads. Okay, so you got to go with the traditional resin pour if you want that effect on these wet roads. Okay. Um, we're going to have in the base core section, we're going to have 5 straights, 5 curves, 3 intersections. We're going to have 6 road end pieces to cap off your roads. And then there's going to be a bunch of special encounter features. You already saw the sinkhole piece. Anyways, let's pick one out here. Maybe one without too many rocks. Okay, we'll just do this one, I think. So we're going to be painting, and then we're going to be flocking this piece right here. Okay, so for this first part, we are done with our quick spray paint primer. We're going to just be brushing real quick with let's see if I can get that on the light there. That's like a ochre kind of mixed in with some white and black to pastel it out. And then the other color that we're using is going to be raw sienna with the same deal, kind of some white and black in there to kind of pastel and gray it out. So both of these are a little bit warmer than the khaki camo that Rust-Oleum puts out. Okay. And I'm not going to be particular with this. I'm using a flat edge 1-inch brush, but it's pretty fried. So it's almost like a dry brush, but I'm not really using it like a dry brush. I'm just slapping these colors on there real quick just to add a little bit of tone, a little bit of tonal variation there. It'll just sort of add to the richness of these roads later on. Right now, it doesn't make much sense. We don't cover up all the primer. It is kind of like a heavy dry brush application. Okay. We're not being careful there. You can see this pastel down raw ochre is a lot brighter than that other color. Let's see if we pull out another one here and put them side by side. I'm sorry, it is hot out here, so I'm just dripping. So, so that's where we're at. This is this one here, spray paint. This one here is that first coat. So right now, between the spray paint and that first coat, you're giving up about 60 seconds of your life on one road. So we'll stop there, come back after that dries. Here we are with our road section. What we're going to be doing next is spot painting the rocks. I'm just going to use a light gray. I'm going to mix in some white. We want these, we're going to be washing over these rocks. So, you know, we definitely want kind of like a lighter gray. I usually just mix gray and white on the fly just to sort of create a little bit of variety. If you want it to look better, you can color the rocks different colors and stuff, but I'm doing the fast and furious version here. So I don't try to paint all the way around the rocks. I mostly try to hit the tops because remember, we're going to be washing this. So that wash is going to go down on the edge of the rock. Okay. And that it's going to blend the rock into the ground. So you don't need to obsess about, painting all the way up to the edge of the rock where it hits the ground. You're just wasting your time. Wash is going to take care of that for you. So, if you find some of these stones repeating, you can always, not paint them, just not highlighting them is enough to kind of just let them blend into the surface. So not a ton of rocks on this piece, so it's partly why I selected it. All right, so we're just going to stop right there and we'll come back and do the wash after those stones dry. And we're going to be washing with a burnt umber, some black in there. Got 1 part gel medium just to give the wash some extra body to help it hold on to the model. And then, water. Say it's 1 part umber and black, 1 part matte medium, 3 parts water. That's what I usually do, somewhere around there, but it's not exact science. So in this painted, I'm going to use, this is the brush I use. It's pretty fried, but it's a good washing brush. And just paint it. I usually put it on pretty heavy. Sometimes I'll add water. I usually use the aluminum pan here so that it can kind of like drip down and I can reuse that wash on other road parts. So I don't know, that's about right. It's pretty heavy, but it dries a lot lighter. So I'm going to leave that just like that. Let it run. One thing I would mention when you're doing your washes, don't put it under direct air. If you have a fan running in the room, that's fine, but don't apply direct airflow on top of your wash or it'll end up drying too light. Right? You need to let that paint sink in, let that paint grab. That air is just going to push all that wash out, the crevices, and it's going to dry thin on you. Okay. So no direct air. Some indirect air circulation is fine. All right. And we'll come back to it after it's done, maybe touch up the rocks and then do our dry brushing on the rest of it. Then we'll be ready for flocking. Got a couple brushes. I got a thick makeup brush like this. I got another like really blowing out makeup brush like that. I find these little makeup brushes work best for dry brushing terrain. those. It's all right. Looks a little yellow, so I'll probably do this ochre and then hit that lighter, hit it with that lighter raw sienna. And that'll dry real quick. I'm not going to put a real heavy coat of this ochre on. A couple of them. Really, all we've had to do is spend a few minutes highlighting those rocks, but otherwise, painting these roads, there, that's fine. And we'll come back and we'll hit it with that light sienna again, and maybe I'll have to touch them rocks for just a second. But then we'll be ready to flock it and we'll be done. So, it's a very short sequence of events here. So we're dry brushing one more time with the pastel sienna, and that should finish us up. We did the ochre. There's the sienna. It's like a little bit wider. We got this other brush this time. And so that's color I'm using. That is raw sienna mixed with white and black, more white than black, obviously. And this is my second dry brush over the ochre. So touch up those stones a little bit. So, but that's going to be about it. That's where I'm going to leave it right about there. And then we'll go ahead and do the matte gel medium, and we'll go ahead and get flocked here after that dries. I might do one more here, just in case I was kind of camera on that first one there. Not really a science to this. I do kind of, it's wet right there, follow the same concept as I do when I paint stones, kind of staggered, kind of diagonal. You need to mix up a new batch of that. See how that does. All right. So that'll do that. We'll let it dry up. Bring back the first one here for a second. We hit it a little bit more. Let's feel a little light. But overall, we're dealing with subtle earth tones, so it does kind of come in a little bit on the subtle side, no matter what you do. If it's too much contrast, you're probably gonna wreck it. So final flocking, I got cleaning up two of these things, so we'll just take a look at doing both of them. All right, so for flocking, I always use gel medium. Let's see what else we got here. I usually I usually like the Martian green, but I find some of these darker greens are giving me a little bit better pop off the battle mats I use. So I'm gonna stick with that. Just gonna throw a little of this in. It's kind of like a half Martian green there. Let's see here. Those two are pretty much the same. They look different in the bottles, but I guess they're not. Yeah, right. We'll do a little bit of the static in there just for funsies. And then let's see, what's that stone at? What happens? Got some beach sand here I picked up at Lowe's a couple of years ago, and I don't know, I guess this is something to use it on. So some of those in there. All right, so flocking, super quick. I have a couple squirt bottles I use. It's just got gel medium and water mixed together in there. A lot of times I'll put this on a different surface. Just whoops, never squeezes out very good, but the squirt bottle is a good way to kind of remix the gel. In terms of center road application of grass, that's mostly a concept that comes from automobiles. You know, a lot in the dark ages, you had carts being pulled by one animal, and that one animal would have trampled down most of the sun grass, but you know, grass could grow anywhere. So sometimes I'll throw a couple patches out in the middle of the road just to have a little fun, you know, add a little variety. All right. Since that goes so fast, I'll go ahead and do this one too. Why not? So I'm just gonna get this. And then from here, you know, this is gonna be the end of the video, but you know, if you want to like glue on little clumps of grass or whatever under the edge, you can do that after this. That might be something I explore a little bit. Just do a touch of grass and clumps. And then that's all there is to it. Got all that right where we want it. Just gonna mix up the blocking. You know, I just dump it on there. There's nothing magical. Well, I think we're all done. And pull this flocking to the side and pull up one of my other ones. It's always a challenge anytime you have to match another one. So there, that looks pretty good. Pretty satisfied with that match there. So yeah, there you go. There's the whole demo. No time at all painting these things up. Okay. They're pretty decent. And after this flocking dries, they're ready for the game board. Okay. All right, that's it for now. There'll be more stuff coming.